Welcome back home. I feel like, you know, first thing we should do is like catch up. So somebody shot JR
and stretch here.
The rest is downhill. I've been through 5 owners since I got here. I was hired by Lee Enterprises, which was a partner with Heaven Streets until they leveraged their way into an ownership position. So it's been a great run. But you know, as Shane said, you know, really, because guys like in my role are the first to get shot. So 5 ownership changes is really quite a privilege. I moved here from Portland, Maine, with my family back in 1999. And
WCSH?
Not WGMA. Competed against CSH. I ran the other Channel 13 out in Portland. But
Mr. Conforti.
It's really been special for me and my family. You know, like maybe some of the rest of you. I brought my family out here. My wife cried when I took her to the top of the mountain and looked out. She said, "This doesn't look like any place we've ever lived before." And fast forward, I raised my 3 kids here. I have 5 grandkids here. Everybody's here, and I'm not leaving. I absolutely love it here. I wanted to say, as well as we head in, this actually, it might surprise you to know, this actually really blesses me too. I think this is the stuff that people don't do anymore. They don't appreciate station history. They don't fight to stay connected, stay together. I want you to know, I really don't think that the world began at KRQE when I showed up. I'm very aware of, I've just heard all the stories. Our history means something to me. Andy knows this, I've talked about this before. I really want this to be your station still, and Andy's family's legacy. And so we've put the pictures back up. You'll see, we talk about you guys all the time. There are 16 employees that have been at this station. Actually, 3 of them in this group I would have gotten from CASA. So 13 KGGM or KRQE employees that were here 25 years ago or more. And I'm having, they don't know this, so don't tell anybody, but I'm having something like a championship ring developed, and I'm going to give that to that group at the end of the year. And all that is because I think loyalty and friendship and all these things actually mean something. And so it means something to me. It means something. Your service means a lot to me. We're just kind of building on a brand and a business that you guys started. So I hope you enjoy this. We've made a lot of changes. You may. I was just saying. I hope you'll point out to me where things used to be, because I'm still trying to orient myself. I've heard stories. I know that the engineering shop was down here. That's my office. I think I'm in AR's office, because when we took the ceiling tiles out, I saw signs up there that said AR's key lights, so he must have been doing commentary in there. So I know certain things, so shout them out to me as we go. Ready to go in?
Yeah.
Come on in. You know what? Did you notice the sign? Yeah. That might be the only thing I envy about KOB is I love their retro sign. So I sketched 2 things on there. One is the KRQE logo's mine. I wanted to put a Sandia crest salute in the logo, and then I sketched the sign, and then we had that built. So we're kind of proud of that. this ends up getting shown around on the city tour. I'm told they like bringing people back here to Broadcast Plaza and show them the TV stations because the signs are kind of cool. So, love the sign.
Hey, Andy.
Hello.
Find out what a racquetball court is. It's number one, though, right? I mean, it's,
Oh, yeah.
You know, right.
Thanks. Thank you. Same bricks.
Yeah.
Come on in, guys.
Hi, everybody. So I'm told that this is a famous lobby. Somebody got shot here, I guess.
Captain Billy, Stretch Shear.
Yeah. Sorry about that awkward memory. One of the things that we like to point out to people when they come in is you can see the old exteriors, and I always and I know that you were part of the reconstruction or construction here. But I always feel like it's like an archaeological dig. Like I imagine every general manager built a wing or built a hallway or put an addition on. But we've reconfigured the place quite a bit, reverse engineer it in a way. One of the things that we tried to solve was you couldn't really do loops on any floor because the hallways weren't necessarily aligned. So we've kind of worked at that over the years. We pulled all the carpet out of here. We got tired of replacing carpet, so we're down to the original concrete, and that's what we're going to stick with.
Colors are nice.
Yeah, you'll see. I was trying to channel Route 66. I should say I was not in favor of building renovation plans. One of the first conversations I had with Lee Enterprises when they hired me, they said we gave them $300,000 to spruce the place up. We're at 805 and we don't know where the money went. And it was up on the third floor. They were building offices up there, et cetera. And the studio was full of carpet and furniture. So I sent everything back and I said, we don't do this until the kids eat, and the kids are out there, so we're going to take care of business first. So I was really making a point. I had I did not want to focus on the facility. So it was my third owner, Lynn Media, that came in, and I gave that speech, and my boss said, yeah, well, we're gonna put a general manager's office in here, whether it's for you or the next guy, because your building, it needs work. And so with that, we started to renovate, and I wanted to look like where we're at. We're on Route 66, and have all these amazing influences in this culture. So that's what you're going to see. Let me just state the obvious. So we had some success turning KRQE on and getting some traction, and that earned enough respect from the companies that I work for that they have assembled a quad of CBS, Fox, CW, and MyNet. I'm very aware of the market forces that were at work in your era and the challenges. I would say, in just one of many ways, the Heaven Streets were they were out there and in front of a lot of stuff, and one of them was getting out in an age of pending consolidation. There just aren't any Heaven Streets anymore. In fact, the last company I just saw in the maybe midsummer was Dispatch Company, one of the great television companies in America, a small little family-owned group, and they owned a station in Cincinnati and one in Indianapolis, and they caved in. We're in an age of incredible consolidation. So I'm working for one of those guys. I'm working for Nexstar. As I said, they're the fifth acquirer. So I didn't work for the Heaven Streets, but I worked for Lee Enterprises, and Lee Enterprises begat Emmis. Emmis begat Lynn. Lynn begat Media General, and Media General sold to Nexstar. We were a little wobbly financially, and in 99 and 2000. Just to show you what the state of the television business is like, my first year was the last year that KRQE was earning network compensation. Remember that? The networks would pay us to actually be an affiliate. So I watched that go away in my very first year, and then they promptly started to bill us for NFL rights. So the model was just changing dramatically. But just to show you that the television business is actually still valid, because I get asked that a lot. Like the guy that eventually became the father of two of my grandkids, back when he was courting my daughter and asking me questions to get to know me and me of him. And he said, like a nice young millennial, he said, I don't know anybody that watches what you do. What's like a scheduled newscast? And I said, you hear the story about Bill Richardson flying an airplane, the state jet from Santa Fe to Los Alamos? He goes, oh yeah, that blew up on my news feed and it's all over social media. I said, that's us. Oh yeah. Television has adapted. Digital has been another way for us to distribute content. So to kind of put it all in context, you'd probably be stunned to know that before the end of this year, we will, in this building, be responsible for just under $60 million in revenue in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So local sales, national sales, digital revenue, political ads, a little bit, they haven't really kicked in, and then retransmission income. So now the networks tax us on what they think their contribution is to our retransmission income, but that's what's making these investment companies still buy television stations and television groups. Blackstone and Apollo and all these aggregators, they're still buying television companies.
How big is Nexstar?
As of Thursday, Nexstar became the largest television company in the country. 219 stations, 216. I have to shed a couple. 63% of the country coverage. We're at the national cap. And and let me just say something about them. And I don't carry any water for those guys. I'm probably more like wired like a Heaven Street, which you guys are kind of famous for telling the networks, this is our station, you can go scratch. Nexstar has so far, and I've only worked for them for 2.5 years or so, but they've had a pretty light touch on their stations. They are very sales oriented. There's a joke goes around that Nexstar is just a sales company with TV towers. I'm going to tell you something. If you're not a television station that's focused on sales, no matter how proud you are of your news brand, you're on your way out of business. And so I spend half my day on one side of the building and half my day on the other side. And I'm not embarrassed that I might be one of the most tenacious First Amendment people running a TV station, but I love selling too. And we're trying to make a good business out of this. But Nexstar, based out of Dallas, they never dictate content of any sort. I don't have to run editorials. Maybe you've heard about groups that make stations do that. We don't do anything like that. They're kind of the opposite of that. They really believe in localism as Albuquerque defines localism, not even etc. So, ask me in a year, but I'm pretty happy working for them. They've left us alone, and we've been able to kind of make our own way. There's we had a famous U-turn. We put a plan in motion around 2001 and 2. Kind of we used research to identify a problem in the marketplace. You'll recall right about there, one of the newspapers was folding and stations were not really doing a lot of investigative news. Stations had kind of gotten into, everybody was a little softer, and viewers were really pissed off about it. We just saw them, saying nobody's looking out for us anymore. And so we found a pathway in research that was something that was highly valued and not fully delivered by anybody. And the person, when we asked the question, does anybody do that? The answer was no. Does anybody typify that? And the answer was yes. Dick Niffing. So that's when we brought Dick in, and we really went to war. So by 2004, we moved into second place, and then within a year we moved into first place. And we've in all those rating books since then, we've only missed one. It was the first rating book after Dick retired. We were in second for one book, but we've been first in news since, and that's not easily done. There's a statistic in American television that 96% of all third place stations never get out of third place. So we really feel fortunate about that. And I should mention that as a way of saying there are people in the building that turnaround means maybe more to than some of the new folks that I hire. It's really important. We're really grateful. So when we just, if some of you are in the market and live here and have DirecTV, we just went off the air with DirecTV for a couple of months while our company hammered out a new agreement. I was calling every cranky viewer as fast as I could. Because that stuff, because it took a lot to get one, and losing them really hurts. So we really, so every new employee, they end up in my office, and I kind of walk them through, if all you are is hair and makeup, you're going to be gone. We are looking for a fit, we're looking for passion, we're looking for somebody who'll follow a moral code, somebody that'll pick up a broom wherever it lays. We're looking for people that really fit our brand here and that won't ever take winning for granted. So, okay, so I'm going to take you into what I think was the newsroom. It was the newsroom when I got here, but it's now our broadcast center. where we're feeding all of our stations. It's good to see you, Tony. Tony's in here from time to time, making appearances on our live morning show. You're going to get to see what that looks like here as well. But you want to follow me back?
All right, man.
Is this your newsroom, Arthur?
No.
Yes.
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 It was?
Is this B? Is this B?
The only remainder of the original.
What do I know?
Yeah, so this was the newsroom when I got here. This is all digital now. We don't have tape anymore. This side is where we ingest programming, you know, from syndicators or the network or news packages. This is the outgoing side. Zeke is a great talking point. He came from Casa when we acquired Casa. So he started over there in like 84 or 85. So he's part of the furniture here too. But we're sending out programming here we're still sending to Roswell and Durango and statewide. So, you know, if you remember that configuration, that's still kind of a unique capability. KOB does something similar, KOET does not. So, you know, we can make a commercial here for Durango. We can make a commercial here for southeast New Mexico. We can make a commercial for the metro, or we can make a commercial that encompasses the state. So we still do that. But we're also sending out our Fox and our CW and our My Network signal as well. And then we have a host of diginets, you know, digital sub-channels behind each of those. So it's really a crazy job. We don't have traffic department. It's not the same as it was when Stella was in charge of it. I was telling a few people, she only retired a few years ago, and she couldn't hear a thing when she did. You know, and we invite her every year to come back to our holiday party, but we haven't been able to get her yet. But Stella was still at the top of her game on her last day. But traffic is coming out of Salt Lake City for us. But we have 2 traffic coordinators in the building, and so everything is computer generated, computer triggered, etc. So, not to say that, you know, Zeke is not triggering breaks or programming. It's more monitoring, but it's a really complicated job. You know, this is just like, you know, directing. And I directed when I was first coming up in television. And I sit in our booth now and watch what these guys do. It's absolutely mind-numbing. The truth is, it makes, the technology is so advanced and has changed so much, it makes people feel stupid. Right? I mean, it really does. It's an actual thing. One of the reasons he's sitting here is we didn't have, not all the KRQE master control operators could make the pivot. And it turns out that CASA was a step ahead of us in this kind of master control technology. So Zeke and Gerald and a few others from CASA really kind of helped us convert over here. But it's the same thing with with directors. That job is, you know, you're going to see it. A director does everything. Audio, graphics, calling the shots,
Camera positioning.
camera positioning. They do everything. I mean, it's just mind-numbing. Yeah. So it's changed a lot. The second floor, I don't know if anybody remembers that. That's still, that little stretch right there, the lights are off up there. That is the only part of the building that has not been touched since you guys were here.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, there's still an office in the corner with a bathroom. There's a safe in there that had to be there when you were here, because I don't know anybody that would move it.
Does the elevator work?
The elevator works, and we cut a hole in the second floor so it actually can walk into that door.
We never saw those windows. There was that map
So-
up there.
I don't know that I was
So anyway.
ever up there.
This is
Yeah,
our
he was up
broadcast
there
center.
a few times.
Very nice.
We're,
How's it going?
as we pass through, we're going to go into, we're going to walk past the server area where all the programming gets stored. I just want to point out one thing as you walk through. Look at the cabling. This is one of my favorite things to admire. This place, as you can imagine, is a beehive of wires. I've been in a lot of TV stations. I've seen a lot of bad wiring. It just gets pitched into the troughs and under the floors where nobody pays attention, and it's so heavy you can't move it anymore. And so you lay more wire in on top of it. The engineers here have done a craftsman's job of wiring this facility or rewiring it. And just look to your right as we walk through, right and left, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And so just take a second to admire engineering.
I don't know. I thought that
It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Very different place.
same thing here. Seriously.
Good, how are you?
It's a green room.
That was called
You'll see just a few back in news. We do morning news on
One
weekends.
switcher for all 4 stations constantly?
Yeah, so we're doing, we are producing now 70 hours a week of original local content, 96 if you count the stuff we simulcast. So a day in the life here is newscast starts at 4:30 to 8 on KRQE and Fox. It's being simulcasted. We roll those, for those from sales, we roll those numbers together and sell separate stations, but we sell an aggregated number. 8 o'clock, we are Fox only news, and that's more of a community. So now the community starts to show up in here. Hi, Stephanie. You guys are going to be on the air tonight, by the way. We're doing a story on you. At 9 o'clock, we have a local community talk show called New Mexico Living Local. And that airs on Fox. It rebroadcasts at 10 o'clock on the CW station. We have a noon news. We have a 4 news, a 4:30 news, a 5:30 news. At 6 o'clock, we're on Fox for an hour, 6 and 6:30. We do a 9 o'clock Fox News. We do a 10 p.m. KRQE News, and we do a 10:35 Fox News.
Wow.
And the 9 p.m. news on Fox gets simulcast on CW. On My 50. The 4 o'clock news gets simulcast on CW. So we are, and yes, one control room, one studio. It's a little crazy, but we're a happening place. You know,
Can I ask, Bill, is it all live, or is there ever like a, you know,
It's all live.
report or anything for?
It's all live. Yeah, we have to, yeah. So it takes quite a bit of coordination. We really need another control room in the worst kind of way. So I'm working on that. But in the morning, if you were here, this is usually lined up with guests that are making appearances. I got to tell you, I didn't love doing this out of the blocks, a community talk show, lifestyle show. It doesn't sound like hard news to me. I was really worried we'd be distracted, we wouldn't be focused, we'd be soft. I love this show. We are, on any given morning, you'll find 10 to 15 or more people lined up in here. The community, we're the only ones that do this anymore. The community shows up to go on the air, to, in some cases, talk about good things that are happening. And you know, we have such an obligation to do stories that are not fun to do, but necessary, that it's kind of cool to have a show where we can actually tell something great.
I think Andy used to call that stopwatch.
Yep.
Chris Schuler, yep, Randy.
Chris Schuler? So,
Right.
one of the things about a lifestyle show that we can do that you can't do with a newscast, we can sponsor it. There's a camera up there, so you're in the Macy's green room.
Cool.
And yeah, so anyway, when we got into this space, when we got into the lifestyle show business, I needed a green room. And one of the things that a guy I used to work for used to say is, you know, if something you really believe in, oddly enough, you'll probably find a way to pay for it and get it done. So this is one of those things when we were sitting around saying we want to launch a local lifestyle show, we don't have a green room, maybe we should just clean the crap out of the hallway. And so that's what this represents. And I love it that we have this space. It's kind of a funky little gathering space. People seem to be happy when they're in here waiting to go on the air. People look forward to it. You can hear them on the phone. I'm going on in 15 minutes. Make sure you roll the DVR. And wasn't that kind of the way we all got into the business, for that kind of a vibe? It just seems mostly gone. Radio stations don't have local hosts. All that stuff has just sort of evaporated. And so that, back to my original point, I just love the sound of excitement from people that actually like being on TV anymore. And so we try to make that happen every day.
You wouldn't believe how much three-quarter tape we're all lugging around the country.
Yeah, I started in the film days. None of that got transferred over. So most of my stuff is on three-quarter-inch from back in the day. You know, I'll just make a reference to the phone booth. One of the things that I noticed was, you know, half the building or more, probably 70% of the building, people don't have offices. They just have cubicles and open space. And I noticed a lot of people, and mostly women, that were like yelling at their kids or talking to their doctor, and they're in hallways and they're out back and they're hushed because they're trying to have privacy. So we put a 1938 Alamogordo phone booth, 41 Alamogordo phone booth in there. And when you shut the door, the fan starts to blow, you get the white noise, and so people are yelling at their kids in the phone booth. And I just love it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Just checking there's no money in here. Ernie was checked.
It's hooked up. The phone works. In fact, we actually got a call
Is it
from.
free or you have to pay?
No, it's free. We actually got a call once from 911. They said, you need us to come. We're just confirming you want us to come. We didn't know what they were talking about. We were giving a tour of a bunch of high school kids, and one of the high school kids.
Oh my God.
So please don't do that.
We were a bunch of high school kids when we were grew up.
Yeah, what if they have three-quarter-inch machine here?
I know we could all, we could.
Edit down myself and put it down.
I'm sure Bud still has something, but
Good on KRQE/KGGM. How are you? Oh my God, it's chocolate block.
Oh, jeez.
It's changed a lot since then.
So there's probably some of your stuff on the shelves. We pulled some artifacts out of the nooks and crannies. This is really meant to create an appreciation for Andy's family and their era. There are pictures up there on the wall that we have so many more. I have plans to, I just haven't gotten to it, but I have more pictures I want to get up. Recreating some of the great localism that took place in this building. There were offices on this side when I got here, so we needed room for our morning guests to, while they waited. Also, our employees like to. We have a break room, but they like, you know, we put this up so our employees can enjoy
This
meal
would
here.
have
I
been
tell
the
them,
newsroom.
okay, you know, enjoy the cafe, but the service.
This was the studio.
Oh, right, okay.
We walked
Yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
This was a little
All right,
studio.
newsroom
Yeah.
is that.
Maybe
Yeah.
one of the weirder things
Telecom goes over there.
one of the weirder things I've left in here is behind that door.
Sorry.
Yeah, actually, keep the door shut.
Excuse me.
Yeah. I brought a smoke. I brought a cigarette machine.
How many people worked here when you could smoke in the control room?
No,
In the newsroom.
this is for you. This is for you kids.
You just smoked a pipe.
I haven't gotten around to it yet. We're gonna reconfigure that. The idea was for that to deliver, like, you know, granola bars or something. But anyways, if I could introduce Stephanie, she's doing a story on your reunion tour today. Stephanie's a reporter anchor here, and so you guys will be.
Nice to meet you guys.
We're the only group that you don't have to apologize for being in our way.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to give you a photo of an election night we had with John Ehrlichman on our panel of experts. Somebody recommended that I talk to him. He was living in Santa Fe, and we had lunch, and he was very knowledgeable about Republican politics, so I brought him on. And we got national publicity because everybody thought I was a dangerous right-winger, when in fact I was a dangerous left-winger, but he had already been to jail and been out.
Book tour, I suppose.
I will get that photo for you.
You know, I was at a gathering a week ago, and Sam Donaldson was there. Were you at that?
Oh, we ran into him early for the Pope show.
But he's very dialed in, extremely dialed in on everything that's happening in the world. But he was very dialed in on New Mexico and New Mexico television.
He went to NIMI.
Yeah. Did he really? I didn't know that. So,
He also owns a big ranch down south.
yeah. Yep. So, anyway, this is the Take Two Cafe.
And Freddie's up there. I know.
Yeah.
Hello, partner. Yeah, Simon did.
Still in California?
Still in California? Yeah. Not doing news as of 2014.
Stay where you know.
I get loud when everybody sees their work.
Your friends, damn straight.
And then,
Come on back, guys.
Big door here. Oh, there it is. There.
The blast door is right over there.
Yeah, the blast door. Yeah.
we had half-inch steel on both sides and we filled it with 4 inches of sheetrock. 4 inches. Wow. Yeah, it was heavy. It was a heavy door. And then we had to design a whole system to get that.
So the studio had, it had 2 trailers in here when I got here. Who did that? Is that after your era?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
There were two like GE Capital construction trailers in there. I couldn't fit. This is a magnificent production facility. It just is, and I couldn't wait to do something with it. So this set over here. This is Nexstar. They built this for us in the last fall. So we haven't been in here that long. There's a million LED light bulbs in the back panels. We can dial in the colors. We have a red set. We actually haven't used it yet, but for breaking news, we can reprogram the walls. If you look at that wall, it's moving. There's actually video running in that wall, that big wall. The desk has a spindle in the center of it, and so it's set up in the KRQE configuration right now. But we can rotate it so it faces that corner and becomes our Fox configuration. But we are always KRQE News 13, no matter what. Kind of controversial. If you remember the history, we got the Fox affiliation from Raycom, but they were having KOB do their news. So it used to be KOB would do a Fox version of a newscast with Fox mic flags and all that stuff, and then they would do a 10 o'clock news on KOB. But the people were the same. So it was kind of like, just changing the mic flag. And we didn't want to do that. We didn't want to like fake a news brand. A. B, we didn't think the market needed another news brand. And C, everything was working pretty well on KRQE News 13. So this is one of those things that I was referring to before. What we do here, Nexstar doesn't do anywhere else in the country. They've got 1 million Fox affiliates that are partnered with other networks, and they always do a Fox newscast. So I opposed them on this. I had a number of conversations over about 8 or 10 months where they were like, it doesn't make sense. We don't know why you wouldn't do Fox News on your Fox station. And so for the reason I just cited, they said, you're making a mistake. And in the end, they just said, hey, you kind of see your point, you think you're right. So we're KRQE News 13 no matter where we appear. Yeah.
Is your content the same on all the shows, no matter what channel you're on? The news content, do they just repeat it on the next program, or do they change it from the network?
70 hours of live, but there's...
I mean, the news content, do you just repeat it in the same content? Do you change it? It's fresh content for
yeah, we don't.
Wow.
Yeah, we don't do that. That's another point of differentiation. 9 o'clock newses get painted with the brush that it's just the time period stupid. People watch it no matter what because it's the only thing on at 9. We've never bought into that. In fact, we actually did some research that proved that people watched us at 9, and in a healthy proportion of the time they watch at least 15 minutes of a 10 o'clock show. And so we never wanted to just re-rack a 9 o'clock show at 10 o'clock. So our 9 o'clock show is its own animal. It's designed, it's got its own editorial pace, and its own news budget. So yeah, we don't do that.
How are your ratings compared between the different news programs, the Fox versus 13? Do the ratings really change?
Yeah, the 9 o'clock is still very successful because it's up until about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were the only 9 p.m. news. KRQE-TV just launched the news at 9, but it's deeply buried on one of their sub channels, and most of the market can't see it. So that show's successful on its own, but our 10 o'clock news, our news is win. So the cameras are robots, like full-on robots. They are sitting on little cards right now that are attached to the floor. This is where they return between newscasts to reprogram. I put a control booth up on the second floor. That used to be air conditioning and stuff like that when you guys were here.
Yeah, storage.
We needed room, so that is now graphics in the middle, conference room to the left, control room to the right, and each camera receives its instructions from up there. When we first set up this technology, we created shots like there's a tracking shot for this camera to follow Mark Ronchetti from a wall over to the desk, etc. And then once you kind of establish those moves, then you're just instructing a camera to go execute that move. They have been, they're amazing technology. We're probably using about 50% of their capability because we're still learning how to drive. It hasn't been perfect. This camera right here specifically tried to go to Tucson 3 or 4 times. You see the bumpers around the monitors?
Oh yeah.
That's because this camera just got it in its head. It needed to go to the bathroom, and it drove right through that wall, shattered a brand new. That's a
No kidding.
That's a
Oh my God.
$75,000 display. Wow. And one of the surprises for me is I would have thought cameras would have operated with like GPS or something, right? It doesn't everything these days. It actually works off of wheel counts. There's a bunch of wheels under there. And so this camera knows that when it has to drive over to this position, it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's counting wheel revolutions. Now turn. Not turn, it's counting wheel revolutions and reestablishing its position that way. But
Is there a floor director that needs to move cables? Nothing?
In the morning, a lifestyle show, we have what's left of the floor, but there are no more camera people. And during our newscast, when we don't have guests in here, they operate without it. So the lighting is different. For you guys on the technical side, it used to be 3200K. Now it's 56. It's daylight, so it's half the cost to operate these lights. These bulbs will last for 10 years. They're easier to look into if you're talent.
Energy bill down a lot?
Oh yeah, quite a bit. But yeah, Penny, you'd like. Well, you probably had these in maybe even in your lifetime. No?
You had the old kind that when they burst, you thought somebody was being shot.
Yeah. So that's all over with. So lighting and you remember all the barn doors and the sculpting of light. You'll notice they're like broad lights. It's a more even form of light distribution. So it's changed a lot. Lighting technology, like everything else, has changed tremendously. I used to have a light meter. I used to know how to. Nobody needs to know how to do that stuff anymore. On this side of the wall is our lifestyle set. You can see we're really jamming in here, doing both news and lifestyle.
This looks a lot.
In orange.
Where the camera sits on, I guess.
Well, that's to block the camera from running into the wall. There were 4 people.
Yeah, so we still have a chroma key wall. A lot of sets don't have chroma key walls anymore. Because it's kind of more fat. It's more contemporary to just have anchors stand in front of big monitors. But we like our chroma key wall, so we kept the chroma key wall. This set was twice the size until we modified the news set. So I had to throw out, I don't know, $20,000 worth of granite. This used to be this giant, gull wing thing with a cooktop in it, and we had to squeeze everything into the corner. So we put this on wheels and shrunk it all down. But this, we have a really disciplined approach to sponsorship on KRQE. There's just a lot of business we won't take. We won't let our anchors do a story about the new imaging technology at Presbyterian, because Presbyterian pays us a lot of money and asked us to do a story on it, kind of thing. We just take a really hard bullnose approach to stuff like that. Advertisers can get in our breaks. They just can't show up in our shows. And we just really have to be consistent about that. It's one of the little things that I would say we thought we needed to do to hitch up our pants in the news business. For that reason, what we do over here is all the more valuable, because we can create all kinds of content for somebody and let them, let their businesses be seen and their products be talked about. So this is really valuable to us to have a local lifestyle show. So, all right.
Definitely.
Any questions? All right. So now I'm going to take you into the marketing area, which was where the news set was when I was here. Stop me if you have any questions.
Big script.
Where's the handball court?
Yeah, the remnants of it.
Right. That was a bitch to
Andy,
hang
what
that
was-
thing too.
Like when I got here, there were sets in here. Wall operator with 2 K Western sets.
That was more like on a wheelbarrow.
When you come back to the office, really.
Oh no,
That's like a change up. Same phone kind of thing.
I'm just going to point out the racquetball court. Folks have asked about that. That's now a combination of our sports department is up there. Part of our investigative group is up there, and Larry Barker is up there. When I started, the Casey, Channel 50, was operating out of that room at the end of the hall, and so that was part of my oversight. But that station was sold about a year into my start here. I also oversaw a station in El Paso too. I don't know if that was ever part of your
KCC.
the
Station is in
Roswell was ours.
Yeah, KGGM as well, but the Telemundo station in El Paso. But anyway, no more racquetball court. Down below, our photographers are down there. And Marianne, how are you? Our photographers are down there, and our helicopter pilot is down there. Let me say something about that. We have two memorials on that wall over there. The handsome gentleman to the right is, of course, Dick Niffing. You know, we all know Dick couldn't keep a job. He worked everywhere. He was just in the building a couple days ago. We really owe a lot to that guy who came home at the end of his career. And he just believed in things as a journalist and needed to be convinced that people still believed in those same kind of principles. So in so many ways, not only did we in this building have a passionate desire to earn Dick's respect and live up to his ideals, but we really wanted to make sure that I really want to make sure that we actually never forget those things. So we tried to institutionalize those Dick Niffing-like journalistic principles. And again, I know that probably just sounds to you like a pep talk or a poster you hang somewhere in the building, or maybe just a piece of bronze that hangs on a wall. I'm telling you otherwise. These things mean something. They mean a lot to me. He means a lot to me. The other handsome gentleman over there is Bob Martin. That's just one of the low points of my time here, and that everybody feels that way. Many of you knew Bob. You know, he's of course famous for being the pilot that he was, the journalist that he was. One of the things that I saw happen the night we all sorry about that. I came in when I got the call, and the newsroom was filling up. And it was a lot of young reporters. Because that's who Bob worked with. He had this tradition of sorry about that.
We're with you.
He had this great tradition of starting with them. Of you know, what does a guy do when he doesn't fly 24 hours a day? There's a lot of time on the ground for a pilot. Bob mentored people. That's what he was doing when he went down. He was coming back from Roswell, where he was working with a young journalist in Roswell and helping her improve her reporting space. Anyway, you know, man of character and conduct, just like Dick. So that's a special wall for us, and man, I hope you do not use any of that. So.
Last night when we got together, when Bob was flying single wing for us, we have two of our people who he gave the controls to so he could shoot his CP-30 or whatever. What was the camera, Dale? What was it? What did he use to fly out? We were working on
And not for nothing, we were actually not spending money and resources in places that didn't count. Not unlike the building renovation thing I was telling you about. So the irony is, we were rewarded for that with 3 more television stations. So now we're absolutely schizophrenic. on any given day, and Bill is really on the tip of this. There's never a minute on any day when somebody in the building is not pissed at him. And I'm not talking about me.
Although.
You know, I mean, it makes sense. If you're making a living based off, you know, CW results, you want to know how come you're not working on promotion for me right now, that sort of thing. So it's really been kind of a journey to find managers with skills to take a beating from all sides and yet remain focused on the thing that we are really focused on in that moment, when in fact we really have to be subdivided and, as I say, kind of schizophrenic.
On the other hand, I'm the luckiest guy in the world because I have 4 TV stations. Can you imagine, you know, what it's like? A lot of times you don't need outside media because you can use your other TV stations to say, go watch that particular one. I mean, it's such a competitive advantage, and really this station has evolved into the 800-pound gorilla in the market now. And so we can do things that nobody else can do, and it really hasn't been ever done in this market.
I was told yesterday you don't subscribe to overnights.
We have ComScore, not Nielsen. So they don't come to us overnight, they come to us on a 10-day, 13, how many days? 12-day delay.
What's the deal?
It's a different currency.
So that way you can say you did a great job without having the ratings either back you up or
Well, you know, that's an interesting point. So there was a time, I think, when we didn't want to know what an overnight looked like, and I needed to get people to stop looking at that stuff because you make bad decisions when you operate. You know, they had a log at the front desk when I got here, and we were logging comments about anchors. Marianne, you remember this?
I remember.
Do you remember that?
Oh,
Do you live in Illinois? Yeah, and so I would find anchors at the front desk going, oh, that's a horrible thing, you know.
Linda used to look at them every day when she came to work.
Yeah, and if you make decisions based on that kind of feedback, that's what I'm talking about. That's not really reliable. That's not reliable feedback.
Okay.
So, and then we started to win. So now the overnights were our friends. And everybody wanted to see the overnights. And we actually struggled with taking those out of the hands of Dick Nipping and Larry Barker. Stop looking at the overnights because we're, you know, for the same reasons you're going to make bad decisions.
It's like crack to everybody.
It's like crack.
Everybody's addicted.
So then we dropped Nielsen, you know, sidetrack there for 30 seconds. Nielsen samples about 450 people in the market.
Homes.
Homes to create their sample. ComScore's, which is the old Rentrack, anybody who knows that, they have over 100,000. So they're not perfect either. So we've just tried to get away from, you know, the lack of focus by, you know, looking at overnight information. It's you know, we have a purpose. Our viewers defined it. We're trying to stay on that, and the results are really following along just nicely. So we wait 12 days to find out we were in first place that night, and it's working out just fine.
Bill, can I ask, in the world of DVRs and on-demand OTT product, how much does network lead in, especially on your 10 o'clock? How much does it matter?
It still matters. It's not what it was. You know, it's harder to, you know, you used to buy shows that were designed, you know, like Oprah was, to funnel the right audience into a early evening newscast, and access, you know, was always really critical to setting up prime time, and prime time critical to setting up a late newscast. On some level, that's all still true. You may have a perspective to add to this, but people, I mean, they find us the way they find us now. I mean, just look at how you you know, how you consume news. You're finding it at your convenience on your device, etc. So we break news on the digital side before we go to television.
Yeah, people, you gotta remember now you have 18 billion choices, and everybody's connected. And even the 10 o'clock news, all day long you've been on your phone and you know what's going on in the world. Whereas years ago, you turn on the 10 o'clock news to find out what's going on. Now, the morning show is more important because you're sleeping all night, so you're not connected. So then you do want to be. So as far as tune in, since you have so many choices, what the most valuable thing that we have now is original content. And so the more newscasts we have, they're going to come to us, particularly for weather. You know, the New Mexicans, even though we have no weather here, they still want to know what the weather's going to be.
We got more weather than we used to.
So that's kind of changed a little bit. But now we just have to make sure we get the word out that we've got good content, and then come for the content, so we don't rely on the Oprahs of the world to lead in as much as we used to. That being said, to have CBS and Fox as our lead-in, to have Thursday Night Football or CSI, it's still extremely valuable, but not like it used to be.
I'd also like to introduce Clay Jones. Clay's in the corner. He's Director of Engineering here. So when you guys, I don't know how many translators, for example, you would have had in your day. When I got here, we were in the mid-'80s. And little by little, we have been winding those analog translators down, converting to digital. Are we there yet?
We have a couple hangers on. The ones that we've converted to digital were converted under the guise of repack. When the FCC had the Spectrum auction, and all these translators above channel 36 were now outside of TV band. They had to be rechanneled. So that means new transmission gear, new antennas, sometimes new transmission lines. And you know, while all that was going on, I was like, you know what else we need? Digital. So some of them were already digital, and they didn't do that. But I took the opportunity to every one that we repacked that was analog to convert them to digital. And it's, you know, it's obviously it's a much better picture. It also brings in Fox New Mexico to areas that used to have Fox when Casa was Fox. But when all that changed, then, you know, cities as large as Gallup and you know, points east, they all lost Fox. And up into Colorado, they all lost Fox. And so I'd be fielding calls for months saying, hey, when are we going to get Fox back? It's on my list. So slowly we've been doing that.
Do you still have a Snowcat?
No.
No, we just got rid of that in the last.
Shucks.
And not the one you remember. The one you remember rolled and kind of got destroyed. So we got rid of that. Picked up we took Casas, but it wouldn't run anymore. The transmission was shot, so Clay sold that off just in the last 12 months.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah. But, you know, complicated job Clay's got. And, you know, we are the weirdest distribution scheme in the entire company. I mean, everybody, I remember that when I met the owner, Harry Sook. He's just like, wow, what am I looking at here? But, you know, somehow it really works. But, and, you know, Clay oversees a revolution that doesn't end. I mean, you know, we were the first to market with HD, first to market with our digital control room technologies, which you're going to see in a second. We're you know, so now we're on our second HD set generation, and we're going through our second version of digital control room switching, automation. And so we've been really kind of leading the pack technologically. And, you know, it's really, that's just another one of those things, you know, Andy, that nobody has an appetite for that kind of stuff. That's why the smaller TV groups are like, we just can't keep up with this stuff. So that one accrues to the benefit of larger owners who can buy this technology at a fraction of the cost, as well as benefits and everything else. So Nexstar's been, they've been shoehorning all kinds of crazy technology. We were talking about satellite trucks earlier, and we still have two, but actually only one's working.
Right.
That's not changed since I was there.
The one that's not working is the one you were in. And we still have that one. But but now we're using backpack technology. It's cell phones. It's a bundle of cell phones. That's what you see the networks using and all that.
It just works. It just works.
Yeah, we're about to peel 180 pounds of weight out of our aircraft. And by the way, we replaced the Bell Long Ranger with an Airbus B2. It's a beautiful aircraft. Nexstar was really great about that. We're going to replace microwave equipment in the helicopter with cell phone backpack technology. And, you know, we're going to go from this to that. And weight is everything in an aircraft, as you may remember. So,
In 1979, when the prison thing happened, I went to the chief engineer and asked him to get coverage up there, and wound up borrowing it from Channel 5, the educational station, for Andy to do his reporting on, because I don't know why to this day, but we just didn't have it ready to go.
The Devil's Butcher Shop.
And the queues went from the phone booth at the 7-Eleven to the two-way to another two-way to like Rex or somebody who then queued Andy, who was like, so it was like,
I don't know if you noticed in the pictures out there and on the wall, but one of those pictures is of Bob Martin, who was doing a live shot from White Sands Missile Range.
I was on the other end of that phone call.
Yeah. And which I think Bob told me once that it was like a record, like a signal.
It was the first time they did a satellite shot like that in New Mexico. That was all Bob. You know, anybody who was around knows Bob did it all.
Yep. So, and I just heard today that you were part of the hostage negotiation.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that story.
Tell you sometime.
I got a million of them.
So, okay, so we're so spots are produced and edited back here.
I thought you were dismissing them, and I have gifts.
I know we're gonna go up on the second floor. If you guys can hump it up a set of staircase, we'll show you what's up on the second floor. But before you do that, Bill has some things for you guys.
Party gifts. Party gifts. As you leave, as those of you who worked in marketing back then, anybody? You know, we had the fun department. We've got a couple of different kinds of pens. Have one of each. This is a really cool one. It's got the mountain background. I don't know, and for lack of anything better, I remember when I was a kid, they had the little girl in the bathing suit.
Yes.
Same basic, except it's a helicopter. It's more Me Too friendly. And a keychain, and most importantly, get a snack because those stairs.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Bill.
So that's our community affairs director's office right there. And then we have three producers, two basically video graphics, and this digital. We have a commercial production now has a digital ad. Because that's as important as making a 30-second
This is plug over the studio.
Yeah, this was a big studio.
Bill, you going out? Bill.
And I'm gonna show it to you. But the really cool neon sign fell off the wall. So you're not gonna get to see the sign we just had built, and the sign company didn't put it up properly and it crashed. But part of that, this office on our left was, right, we're actually gonna do some computer training in here in the weeks ahead. But this was part of that, and the idea was to bring advertisers in and kind of bring them into our sphere of influence, help them like an agency would, but give them the chance to say, is that Mark Ronchetti down there? And kind of give them a tour and let them feel like insiders. So we have kind of a purpose for this. But yeah, so Clay and his folks are up on this. And then let's walk over here, and if you guys can pump it up one more flight.
Helicopter.
We're not going to the roof. I was telling somebody that got shooed out there a number of years ago.
Just like Ford.
Yeah, just like that, with Ford. We won't go in there, I'll just point it out. This is graphics. Just point it out. Yeah,
CG and all that good
yeah,
stuff.
this would have been your office.
Would have been my office, yeah.
Yeah, you left too soon.
I did.
You gotta come back.
I think I will, seriously. I've done a lot since then.
What's this control room?
This is the control room.
This is it.
Oh, this is the actual control
This is the
room,
actual
not,
control
it's
room.
not out of command central or whatever central command.
No, not out of the master control.
Master control, whatever it was.
Amazing. So the director does it all.
Oh man, it's.
And the producers are still back here?
Yep, producer's right there on the phone.
Okay. Still looks like fun.
You know, I think it is, but it's really not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, I believe you.
For exercise. I did. Well, this is the same one that used to go up to whatever.
Oh, yeah.
This is where when Wagyu beef was, you looked it up on your phone. I was so impressed. Do you remember that?
So that you guys just passed the graphics area, and this is the control room in here. This is where. Yeah, this is what Glenn says. This is where. So the guy or gal that directs the newscast does all of it now. We could do a show with 2 people in here, a producer and a director, and they're controlling cameras, live shots, graphics, audio, all of it. It's just crazy.
So there's not like a Grass Valley switcher anymore.
The computer is controlling the board. That ends up being mostly like a live hot punch.
I see it now.
Yeah, it's linear. It's like you're editing on a nonlinear editor.
Can I get a picture?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready to climb?
Well, we have to go down to go up. I thought it was the new 13. Back to the old days. Do it all yourself.
There'd be your effects, there's your sound, there's your switcher.
John, is this
I guess this is what, audio maybe?
No, this is control room for news.
Oh, wow.
Must be
Yeah,
audio,
this
huh?
is.
Amazing. Still have kind of a router. Here's your other router.
Oh, yeah, that's a switcher.
Yeah. Oh, is that it? Yeah.
Yeah, a Ross switcher. Yeah.
That's it, huh?
Yeah.
Almost looks like it's for the cameras. So they
Now
don't
it's
have
cameras,
a
that's your camera control.
So they don't
Well,
even have.
cams are here.
Because here's your tilt, so you tilt, pan.
Oh, yeah.
So they don't even have the big,
Big switcher anymore.
Now the Grass Valley's gone. This is it. Here's your Grass Valley, dude, right here.
wow.
Yep.
I mean, that's kind of like ours right now.
It's all this little guy now. Eventually it's going to be eye control, right? With your Pretty sweet there, Mr. Engineer.
Thanks.
Looks like fun, man.
Oh, it is. Isn't it though?
Oh, hell yeah. So look up to this.
So, we,
Nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This hasn't changed, huh?
Not at all.
Dumping all the shit up here all the time. It used to be the body room.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
that's
we don't, I told some of you guys, the helicopter no longer lands on the roof. I think first week on the job, and it might have been one of my first day or two, there was a gathering in the parking lot. The neighborhood was opposing KOB because their helicopter was 75 feet from somebody's yard. But you know, in all fairness, you could smell the fuel and the noise and all that. So they sued the city to change the ordinance, and we got booted out with KOB. And it's really just fine. We're out at the airport now, and it really makes more sense. But there's no more trips to the roof to go on a helicopter. I really miss that. But we still have a live shot up there. You can find the circle staircase. You're up there on a platform overlooking the city. It's really beautiful. Beautiful view. So all that's left up here is these spaces all get used for the folks that are involved in producing our morning lifestyle show. The guy that does all the editing for Larry Barker's packages, he's got an office in that one. But you're looking at where we have bands set up when they make an appearance on our morning lifestyle show. And down the hall, you'll see the remnants of a little temporary portable set that we have. It looks terrible, but actually it's got LED lights. It lights up, and we have lights and camera that goes with it. All that is to say, if you go above these ceiling tiles, it's like 20 or 30 feet to the roof. So what I'm dreaming about next up here is to really take out all these walls and make this an actual studio. We need the space, and I really think we should expand that way. So when bands appear, they're sponsored by County Line. To be honest with you, I also would like to punch a hole in that wall. Not because I'm just have anger issues. That's a beautiful view of the city right there. And so if I could figure out how to reconcile the weird light, color temperatures, and that kind of stuff that would come from doing that, it's like everything else in this building. This is a phenomenal building. It is really flexible. It has great utility. Think of the life that it's lived doing film and television production. I love this. I love this place, and it's got game still, right, Clay?
Absolutely.
So Clay and I kind of get off on tangents up here thinking about what we might be able to do with it. So I think you haven't seen the last chapter by a long stretch. But. Okay, and then I'm going to show you something off to your left here.
This is a good building, but Joe put the whole hello, Joe.
You never know. know, I didn't get his introduction.
Yeah, like a
It's very interesting. Yeah, he's good.
See, I do understand we have one.
Yeah.
I switch button.
It just goes on and on.
They have no room numbers. I don't know. I don't see how if you have guests here, you can say, tell us, you know, room for that old one or what.
Yeah,
How does anyone?
Well, I think they're all,
There's
they're
only
all,
one person that sits here normally on this floor, in this area anyway. These are storage. This is an audio control room for that little inset studio we just left. Yeah, generally we don't send visitors up by themselves.
yeah, they're all
Can't do that
escorted.
anymore. Yeah, you can't do that anymore. The front's all bulletproof glass and things like that. Someone has a guest, front desk.
Gary, we're transferring stuff as best as we could onto digital media. What's really left of the storage is through that door right there. We still keep a few things that we need to keep. But I always wanted to do this. One, I think our employees love it. During different times of the day, you can hear the, you know, things turning and people humping up here. But it also ends up, this is a set, like everything else in the building. It's a place, it's a background for lifestyle segments. So there's camera inputs over there, and we do live shots up here with you know, an area that's sponsored by Evolve Strong. So kind of a dual purpose. But one of the things a point I'm trying to make is I really believe that we have everything we need. We just have to uncover it and use it and repurpose it and reimagine it. You know, if you're going one last time to our turnaround project, I really want to make this point that we didn't do anything, we didn't throw money at anybody. I wasn't working for anybody that was trying to solve a problem with just throwing money at it. It was really strategy and execution. So this is kind of in that camp of, well, that would be kind of cool, and I don't need anybody's permission to do that. Let's just build ourselves a little workout facility. So that's what this is.
Pretty cool.
Okay?
Yep, very nice.
I remember hanging
We're
over.
about to walk back downhill.
I remember hanging over that railing with the welders
Oh, okay.
doing the sparks and the
For Wichita linemen.
Virgil. Yeah, for Virgil.
It's amazing we didn't blow ourselves up sooner, right? In our day.
Yeah, it was thought to be the same room, but
I think it's on the cases.
Yeah.
Those cases, yeah. I'm probably, I remember when you had to degal something?
yes.
Would it have been that rail or the rail down
This one.
below?
No, it was this one.
Okay.
That rail down below wasn't there. They added that floor.
Okay.
They added that second floor. Yeah, this was all. This was the rail.
Okay.
This was what?
Well, this was the second floor of the studio.
Yeah.
And when we were doing the Amy show, the Virgil set with the desert and the Wichita lineman, I was up here with a welder's torch sending sparks down on them.
Was this when the salesman was? Is this?
No. Well, yeah, it probably was at some point.
We created half of the space
Yeah.
first, and then we sales on.
still a concern. Sales and sales. The way we operate, two of the stations are technically owned by another license holder, and I manage them. And then I work for Nexstar, so that's called a SSA. It's a sales agreement. So that's how those are done across the country. And our company is kind of the company that invented that business model. It's very tricky. Obviously, I see everything, but we really have to manage these in a way that the sales departments, nobody on one side ever goes in with 4 sets of call letters and says, I can make you a deal on the other side. They have separate rate cards, separate managers, separate sellers. And so I have to make sure that they remember that the enemy is outside the building, because they're so competitive. They literally will sometimes, try to sell against each other and that sort of thing. And I don't want that, but that's kind of proof that they really are separated. If you're a seller, everybody's your opponent. But it works out pretty well. It's a beautiful thing. I'm not going to lie. 4 TV stations. Each one has its own demographic complement. It's really, Bill Case was referring to it, but we literally can make a case to any advertiser. You just don't need to talk to anybody else. We've kind of got it all covered. We just blew past the Atomic Creative area, but that's our commercial production agency that I was describing. We won't retreat back there, but that was against that wall. We're passing the conference room. This, I think, used to be an engineering shop back in your day.
Yeah. The break room used to be right here.
Break room?
That was the bathroom.
I don't think I ever took a break.
And the film lab was behind that.
Is that where your mom was
Gotcha.
And everybody smoked on that side over there.
Smoked everywhere.
I capped the bathroom off, and that's all gone. And those are sales managers that are along that back through the hallway along the, a digital manager, national sales manager, a local sales manager, and our 2 traffic assistants have an office in the corner down that hall. These are sales assistants in here. Somebody asked, we have about 170 employees. So the journey was, we had 196 when I started, and that counted a full complement in Durango and in Roswell. It was very controversial. It wasn't hard for me to shut down Durango. That was honestly kind of a mess. People were misbehaving. It was really kind of a, does that sound familiar to anybody?
TV people.
No, not us.
Yeah, we still own the condo.
Oh, nice. I stayed in that.
Right?
I stayed in that.
It's just my employees were humping each other in it, so we got rid of
stations anymore.
Visually, what has changed? What the building? Yeah.
Well, we had a gigantic sound studio that my father built south of the building. It has been repurposed from pretty much a vacant space into a large
In the newspaper.
Yeah.
Bob Marvin, I interviewed Holland. I talked to her on the phone from Las Vegas. We did a phone interview. And I was just so honored to be able to talk to her and have her telling me about stories about her and Bob sharing great experiences and making great stories.
So he married Marilyn Painter, and Marilyn has that office right there. She's our sales manager. Did you know she's a sales manager now?
I mean, it's just such a talent for Bill.
Sure. She's really doing great.
She's one, there's not many of those reporters anymore.
Her applause. Did somebody say something smart?
Just read this morning that 1 out of 7 New Orleans residents have an arrest warrant.
Yes, they're getting it done.
There's a story.
And yeah,
that you they were
I was just saying, we've really, when we give tours now, we've started telling people everything that's for everything that people make out of Albuquerque's sudden film and television is, capability that started here.
Yeah.
And it's really cool.
Yeah, Bruce built the soundstage just did about 40 years too early. So, right across this in my files, in 1977, I was in New York. And Walter Cronkite gave me this sort of essay that he wrote. It's kind of interesting. It's a bit of a rant about Barbara Walters getting paid too much, and but the main thing was a complaint about how anchors in that time were like a couple of years in one market, another market didn't have real roots in the community, which is why talking to me about the two people there who's actually staying in the station that had been there forever. I think you'll find it kind of interesting. It's really kind of a rant, really, but I know that you're into broadcast history. So
I am.
I think you'll find that very interesting.
Signed presumably by Walter.
Actually, I should have asked him this.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah, I should have spelled coffee on it.
Oh,
right.
Good news, sir.
Yeah, back in the day.
He was really curious.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember he was.
It's true. Now our
This Barbara
industry
Walters
is
thing.
exploding.
Yeah, he's like, what's with Barbara Walters getting paid so much?
There's a pretty lengthy
She looks
article
better in a
that
dress than he does.
that the New York Times did on KGGM years and years ago.
That magazine, it was like a magazine,
Yeah,
the cover of that.
yeah, it's online. The article.
I don't know if you know this, but
He was out there.
I want to.
Can I read this and get it back to you?
Oh, no, I'm giving it to you. Yeah, you'll be able to. I forgot I had it, ran across it, going through some old stacks of stuff, and
That's amazing.
yeah.
I just read a few blood-curdling
Yeah.
You're gonna be there tomorrow. Okay. Good to see you.
So anyway, 1981, I won an Iris Award. It was the biggest city music hall they have. The award to me was done by Phil Donahue. He took me aside later and said, I worked for your grandfather in sales. I wanted to do a talk show. I said, no.
Oh yeah, I want to read this too.
It's history.
There's copiers all over the place.
So my first day in television was supposed to be an intern for him.
Oh, really?
On his show.
Yes.
And I was in college, and the news intern didn't show up. So they told me, go be a news intern. And I said, no, I came here to work on the Donahue show. I said, not anymore. And it pissed me off. So I called back to my college and I said, I've already rented a house, rented an apartment in Chicago. I'm here to do this. But they're kind of jacking me around. And my professor said, it's a paid internship, even if it's in the news. And I said, yeah, it's, I don't know why I said no to this. I honestly don't. I think I was an idiot. But he said, you want me to find you another internship? I said, yeah. So he found, I went to Milwaukee and, it turned into a job offer in short order, but so it all worked out. But I really wanted to be working on the Donahue show.
It's funny how things don't work out. We may be disappointed in the direction we ended up going, but then
that group of 16 that was there 25 years or more, they're very affectionate about that whole area. They all say the same thing. It was crazy town at times.
Oh yeah, it was.
But they loved it, and they have a unique history that I don't get to share. I just get to kind of admire. But
I think you maintain a little bit of that feeling of a family here.
We're trying to.
That's definitely. I've never seen an operation.
I think of it a lot.
We're just talking about that. People are they just check in and check out, and I get that, and I can't be a hypocrite. I've moved. opportunistically in my life many times. But I'm telling you, we make fewer mistakes because we have guys like that in Master Control that have been doing this since the 80s, and we have, you know, Paul Bird and these other people that have been here, and there's a maturity in this building. Mary Ann was just here not so long ago, but she was one of those who just, and that stuff translates. I'm telling you, I tell new people, you know, if you show up, my hair and makeup comment, you know, if that's all you are, you're gonna get stepped aside and talked to like a little kid, and it's not gonna be me. It's gonna be somebody in your peer group that's gonna say, we don't do that here. You know,
Thank God.
That's that sort of thing, and it really happens. I have an anchor on the air. You know, if you're in the market, you know Kim Baez, and she started about when I did. She's in her 20th year. She was a young reporter when I hired her. She's ruthless. She is a really smart woman. She's a really intense journalist. She's the person Dick Niffing said, she's the brand carrier. And Kim is one of those people. She is fearless. She'll walk up to anybody in news or anybody in production and say, lose the attitude.
It'd be great if you could get Niffing to come back occasionally, just for like election night.
Well,
the deep knowledge.
He was in there last week. We bring him in. You don't know this. He comes in roughly on a quarterly basis to train our puppies.
Oh, cool.
He had a health crisis. He and his wife. They both had separate incidences. So we were off track on that. But he is coming back. You're going to hear in the next, in about somewhere in the next 30 days, you're going to, if you're watching our newscast, you're going to go, Dick Niffing is the open to your newscast. We just decided,
video.
yeah, we just decided to do that last Thursday when he was in here. He was in to do something else, and he brought it up. And I said, you know, initially I didn't want to do that because I didn't want people confused about are you here or you're not. Hey, excuse me. But I said, you know, everybody knows Dean's the anchor. We're going to do that. So you're going to hear Dick's voice again.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
How old is he?
People are so comfortable with that.
He's, upper 70s.
Yeah.
He's in great shape. He's really dialed in on.
Bill, did you see what happened on 4 last week? I was so glad it didn't happen. It wasn't 13. I've never seen 13 ever do this. It was Monday. The truck was here. It was like their 6 o'clock news. They were waiting for him to come off the air, promoting that he was going to be coming off of his airplane. And so they came into the newscast, probably their biggest show of the cycle, and it was green screen. They said, well, and they kept talking over it. They went to commercials, and they never came back.
Oh,
they went
wow.
to the next private, their 7 o'clock show.
Yeah.
And I've never seen that happen.
I missed the whole Trump and Albuquerque thing. I was out of town and I was at a conference.
That's a big problem. I don't know what.
Yeah, I don't even know how that happened. It's amazing.
But
I was glad it was you guys.
Yeah, those are. Well, I've had plenty of those moments. I think we broadcast a Lobo football game from Las Cruces, and we lost a signal, and I'm sitting at home with a room full of clients going, those are the worst moments. They're like,
yeah.
what's wrong with you guy? We actually blew up our satellite truck, fried it.
Really?
The same satellite truck we seem to be talking about. I think we had that when you guys were here. It's older than crap.
It is.
And we just keep rebuilding it, but we have a new one too.
Well, remember Sally, when we first got it, I remember Sally Jason fired it up and we took out all the other stations when we were testing it.
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to the Linda's tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I was asking him if he knew Sally, because he was
Yeah, I started with Bobby Scannell, actually. She was a production manager, and she was from out of Chicago. And
Lives in Reno.
When I was traveling.
yeah, is that where she's at in Reno? Yeah. I remember I just took one production class at UNM, and I told her, oh, yeah, I know how to do this stuff. She goes, oh, really?